Luther Burden was seen as the wide receiver one in this class up until a few years ago. An absolutely explosive athlete out of the slot and someone who can function in the running game as well as the receiving game. He burst onto the scene, but with a disappointing 2024 season, his stock has slipped just a little bit heading into this draft class where he's seen as a consensus wide receiver 2. So, let's take a little look at Burden and how I think he might end up getting drafted this season with his strengths and his weaknesses. Let's get into it. So Luther Burden out of Missouri coming into the NFL at 21. As you can see, relatively short in stature at 5'11", but very compact frame at 208. And when you have a look at the stats later down below, you can see exploded onto the scene, particularly in that second year, but really regressed in year 3, which was disappointing. He was seen as the consensus Devy wide receiver 1 a couple of years ago, but it is a little disappointing that he dropped off going into 2024. If that hadn't been the case and he'd continued to develop, he'd probably be the consensus wide receiver 1 coming into this class. But as it is, he's currently coming in as the wide receiver 2. So what kind of a player actually is Luther Burden? Well, I absolutely loved watching his film. And the first thing that you notice is that absolutely unbelievable athleticism. He has such incredible explosivity with his first step and is able to win immediately off the line, which means he often finds himself when you're watching film just wide open. And when you look later down the line, you'll see that that first step and that quick twitch was able to just have him win immediately, which is something that's going to translate to the next level, and especially when he's majority functioned in the slot, which means that it's a very crowded and condensed area of the field. So being able to win and separate early and easily is going to make a huge difference when you get into the NFL. The other thing which really pops when you watch Burden is that yards after the catch ability. You'll have seen a lot of people talk about this as with him as a player, and it's made him able to function in the running game as well as in the receiving game, but also in manufactured targets. So lots of work on screens, lots of work taking the ball behind the line of scrimmage. You can manufacture work with Luther Burden and just trust him to be able to wiggle his way to get that first down, which is a really, really big ability for him. And those two things are probably the main things that you'll notice with Luther Burden, and it's why I think it's going to translate to the NFL. That ability to win early in the route, that incredible athleticism after the catch, that is going to make you win as a slot receiver when you get to the league. The other important thing that I've noted here is I think he's a plus in the running game in terms of his blocking ability. This is just going to let you get on the field early and often and mean that teams don't have to take you off. It also is really going to endear you to coaches, which I really wouldn't underrate as something for a rookie coming into the NFL. This is the first in a new series, 50 rookie profiles in 50 days. Please consider liking and subscribing to join me on that process, and let me know in a comment down below the rookie that you are most excited to hear about in this upcoming series. But let's have a little look at the weaknesses of Luther Burden. So the first thing that I noticed on his film is a little bit of sloppiness in his route running. I have a feeling this is because he's the best athlete on the field in the majority of games that he plays, but he has a tendency to kind of round off his breaks and to sometimes be a little lazy in making things as crisp as possible. He'll need to fix that when he gets to the NFL. I think he can. I think I've seen some strong route running from Burden, but I think because of that athleticism, he's just not had to do it so far. The other things here really come to what he's not had to do as well. So because he primarily plays in the slot, he's not seen a huge amount of press coverage, and then we've not really seen him consistently win as an outside wide receiver. I think he can. I think the size isn't going to be a huge issue because he obviously is a fantastic athlete, and also at 208 pounds, he's got that condensed frame that means that he'll be able to kind of struggle to actually succeed against more physical corners, but we've just not really seen it quite yet as much as we would like to. The other thing is that focus drops can be an issue for him. This is actually quite consistent with rookie wide receivers and will likely be something that's ironed out by the time that you get to the NFL. A lot of that is just because he's a yards after the catch threat, so you can see him start to think about the move he's going to make before he's actually secured the ball and then drops it. But I think that's something he can iron out. With all of these videos, I want to give a little overview in terms of where I think they're going to go, both in rookie drafts and in the actual draft. But starting off with a play style comparison, just so you can get a little overview of the kind of player that this is. I have included Deebo Samuel here. No one is going to be Deebo, but if someone can be, it might be Luther Burden. That dense frame, that ability after the catch, that ability to work in the running game as well, is as close to Deebo as we've seen. As a receiver, I've also noted Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, although he's dropped off this year, always was top around sort of like the top mark in the league in yards after the catch. That ability, quick twitch, and then physicality after catching the ball is something that I see in Luther Burden. His current projected draft value is somewhere around the mid to late teens, so midway through the first round. He is, by mock draft database, currently the consensus wide receiver 2, which I think will likely stay that way, but there is a chance that this drops off if a team falls in love with Emeka Egbuka. In terms of then the rookie draft value, this is going to be an interesting one. I think he's likely going to go behind Tetero McMillan, Ashton Genty, and then potentially the running back 2 or 3 in the class as well. I take him currently around the 103 in 1QB and a little later in Superflex. I absolutely adore Luther Burden. I'm yet to do my full rookie rankings. I've got some primary ones together, but he is very close to Tetero McMillan as we stand. So I would definitely consider taking him with the 103 in a one quarterback league where we are at the minute. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, this is the first in a new series. We're going to be spending the next month and a half just doing rookie profiles so that you are up to date on those rookies before the NFL draft and as the combine comes around as well. Please consider liking and subscribing to help me on this journey. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I will see you next time.